And here we have a article for review for a sprint takeover by Deslicat, and it's Fawkes L.H. Fairchild. So let's take a quick over. Ooh, some beautiful photography here. And grandfather and mother's wax statue. Okay. Father's wax statue. Oh, the puppy. And Fawkes. Okay. Looking good. All right, let's zoom in. And let me get my glove ready. Okay, it looks like it's in first person. Okay. Let's see. I got my pen going. There's my pen. Yep, that's good. Okay. All right. Taking a look here. Okay. I do not remember my parents. According to grandfather, I was 3 when they died and he adopted me. Though they were sainted right after their deaths, nothing is written of what truly happened. Only the plaques set by their wax statues in the Hall of Saints hint at it. I always suspected grandfather knew more, but never told me. I am certain he was either sworn to secrecy or he felt he had to protect me. Whenever I became persistent, he became too bothered with my questions and gave me a rap or 3 with his staff. Okay, let's turn on the sprint. That is a fun start to the article because it sets off a mystery. It intrigues us, and we want to keep reading forward. All right. Keyboard. Okay. Now this is kind of a sudden. We have the Heim Temple Library, but it's using the same font here as the rest of it. There's not a distinction here, so I mean they're nice, but I'd probably just leave in bold so we know it's not. Yeah, it is a beautiful library. My earliest my earliest memories are of sitting on a quilt with my toys while grandfather's voice told me stories about whatever it was he was working on. Okay. He worked in the library and sometimes in the spooky archives. Hey, I was very little then. Being underground was very spooky. There were more than books there, so grandfather always had stories to tell. Even the fancy lamps in the archives had stories. Okay, and here's a lamp. Okay. I loved his stories, and though I did not realize it then, he was teaching me history. When I turned 6, grander father, is he, am I reading that? Grandfather, grandfather. Okay, so that must be a typo right there. Grander father. Grandfather packed fewer toys to make room for my slates and chalks. This quickly turned to writing words and then sentences. He would still tell me stories, but I had to write them down until my slate was full on both sides. Along with words, he taught me my numbers. Simple maths were fun for me. Grandfather made them games. Serious learning. When I turned 10, grandfather was about to send me to the Apelkamp monastery, where all acolytes of Boki are trained. But something changed. He was suddenly sent to work in the Grand Archives, a place that would keep him away from the world for great lengths of time. Instead of sending me to the monastery, he packed me up with his other things and took me with him. His new position seemed little different from his old one, as he was assigned to the vaults, a place beneath the Grand Archives. His work did not change, though there were more visitors. These visitors were mostly the apprentices of wizards, with a rare few wizards who came themselves. I quickly learned that only nobleborns and their wealthy were taught wizardry. I also learned that such people were arrogantly oblivious to most everything. Things had to be a certain way, or it just was not right, even if it was the truth. I watched the acolytes take advantage of that arrogance. My studies were serious down in the vaults, and all the acolytes took part in my training. Their teachings were strict and exhausting. Whenever I complained to grandfather, he was pleased. He kept on harping that I learn everything they taught me as fast as possible, because time was getting short. What few moments I had to myself, I wondered why time was so short, that I could not have as much fun learning as when I was little. When I was 12, grandfather rewarded me for all my hard studying. He gave me a pair of stone eggs that were each a foot long. They were a puzzle. When I solved their puzzle, grandfather would consider me graduated. For 2 years, I scoured the libraries within the vaults before I discovered what to do. When I was 14, I hatched the eggs. I now had two adorable roly-poly gur puppies who grew, really grew. All grown up now, they are massive dogs, each weighing as much as a good-sized man. Their names are Pepe, Juju. Okay, um, this is this, you could finish the sentence here, Pepe and Juju right there, and then bold this or whatever header that you wish, so that we know that the narrative is done and this is a header and this is the pictures that you're going through, because their names are. And since you've established my expectation that a word by itself immediately in front of a picture is a label for a picture, not part of the dialogue. So, okay. And that would include things like the Heim Archives lamp here, because it's not a part of the narrative. But I am enjoying the narrative so far. This is really good. I don't care. That's a cute puppy. Or big dog. Is there such thing as an ugly dog? Because I don't think so. The end springs the beginning. Soon after the hatchings of my stone eggs, grandfather declared me a graduate and even held a formal ceremony with the other acolytes, making me one of them. Brother Fawkes is a fine title, one proudly learned and duly recorded via letter grandfather and the rest of the acolytes sent to Applecamp Monastery. Soon after my graduation, grandfather revealed to me that he was a part of a secret order within the acolytes called the Brethren. Not only was he part of the Brethren, but he was their leader, and it was becoming their leader that led to his working. It was becoming their leader that led his working in the vaults. Not sure. Something needs to change there. He further explained that only he told. He further explained that he only told me now because things were going to be very bad, and we must expend all efforts to prepare. And by we, he meant me, as he was going to be terribly busy dealing with things. Most importantly, I was still a boy, so no one paid much attention to what I did. Lists. He gave me lists of things to do and places to go. His notes scribbled on the lists are as frustrating as trying to get everything on his list done. Bring this here, that there, pack these here. No, not like that, like this. Okay. Um, See, this is interesting thing that I got here is that the whole article here is in his point of view. There, it's first person, and it seems to me like it is a writing of a journal. So to have this excerpt here, how is this different from the rest of the article? Is this article an excerpt of a journal as well? See, I'm a little confused on how I should think of the article differently than this excerpt, except that it's uh, in the journal. I mean, so where's this written? I don't know. When I was 16, the terrible thing finally happened. It was called the end of instant, and truly changed our lives. It may have been terrible, but at the time I was relieved and eager to start our new life I had dreamed of to be far less hectic. Okay, that sentence needs to be broken up. It may have been terrible, comma, but at the time I was relieved and eager to start our new life. Period. I had dreamed of being of it being far less hectic. Okay. Grandfather and I took to living aboard his keel boat called the Gosling, with a half dozen other brethren who served as our crew. We became spice traders. Spices had always been a passion of grandfather, and soon became a passion of mine, with the occasional rap from his staff if my attention dared to stray. So much for the less hectic life. Along with spices, I was taught how to sail the Gosling and to command it as its skipper. This was so grandfather could work on his other plans. Plans he kept secret from me, but not the crew. My, how typical of him. 3 years later, things took a terrible turn. Grandfather was murdered by mage fire. Now I must find out why. Ha ha! The hero's quest. Or the hero has a quest. Okay, grandfather, mother. Oh, Zeu Lake, 148th ray of Puliro. She sacrificed her body so her soul could save us all. Okay. Reno Hall, 157th scythe of Rel Nu. He sacrificed his body so his soul could save us all. Interesting. Same thing. And Fawkes. Okay, now I must get these back. Okay, are we jumping back into the narrative here? Not sure, because we did take that big break with, because this, it felt like the end of the story here with his quest. Now I must find out why. Period. That felt like the end. Let's zoom out a little bit. Oh, okay. This was part of the sidebar. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is good stuff. And see where I was zoomed in so much, it did mess with your uh it did mess with your layout a little bit. And so now these headers are more obvious. But then you have this paragraph here that's just kind of out of place to me. But I mean, it would be cool if you could make these pictures the same height, but I don't know if that's going to be possible because of the details in the images themselves. Yeah, well done. Well done. It has a good flow. There might be some grammatical things even there. Um, oh, you put that there to even out the two columns. Fair enough. Um, I don't. No, I mean maybe even put them in the side column themselves, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, this is a fun article. The only big thing that I have is this excerpt here that I described before, going, how is that different from the rest of it? I mean, this is an actual quote, whereas the rest of it is first person narration. Yeah, good stuff. Excellent hero for work here. Yep, good job. All right, that alarm is for us to